Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. Apologies it's late. If you want to know the reasons why, please go and watch my previous video, and within the first 90 seconds you should get a bit of an idea. It's still going on. But Chelsea on Saturday night drew 2-2 at home to Wolverhampton Bloody Wanderers in the Premier League, in a game where the first half was absolutely 100% congruent with that of previous games since losing to Real Madrid in the Champions League. Chelsea was slow. Chelsea were struggling to get forward down the left side. Reece James looking good on the right side, but then Reece's quality wasn't matched by something in front of him or something in the middle of the pitch. In the second half, Romelu Lukaku comes out of the tunnel looking like he's a man on a mission. That mission was to give Chelsea a 2-goal lead. Lukaku scores, earns the penalty, scores the second one. Probably one of the best goals he's scored since he returned to Chelsea. And by the way, those 2 goals make him Chelsea's top scorer this season. And I think then what happened afterwards is probably as predictable as you could ever imagine. Chelsea surrender a 2-goal lead by conceding goals at home that you just should not concede. The first one from Wolves, I think it's Trincao, whatever his name is, great finish. But how on earth has he got all of the flipping space of West London, even East London, South, and even flipping Surrey? He's got all of the space in the world to navigate himself into a position to get that shot away. And then the second goal, it's the 97th minute of the game, and all you got to do is make sure that big bruiser Connor Cody cannot get his bonce on the ball before any defender does to clear the ball away. But no, Chelsea don't manage it. And we are now sat precariously just 1 point above Arsenal, who are in 4th place in the Premier League. I don't doubt for 1 second that we're going to fall out of the top 4. But if somehow, I can't believe I'm saying this, if Chelsea somehow manage to remain 3rd and Arsenal do not overtake us, then I will be bloody surprised. And it's annoying because even though we didn't play well, even though, and you'll see who I've given green boxes to in the video as we go on in 6 Things We Learn, even though overall it was a shoddy performance, 3 points here would have been massive. We're now just 1 point ahead of Arsenal. Spurs got a brilliant result away at Liverpool, can't expect much more, but we've stumbled and are stumbling over the line again. But we begin. Box number 1 is a blue box because he was head and shoulders above the rest of the players out there. Romelu Lukaku is box number 1. Lukaku was very, very good, especially for a 15-minute period of the second half where he bullies the Wolves defence, wins the penalty, which, by the way, when it comes to Chelsea and VAR, I always look at it and think, well, we might not get this, even if it is as stonewall as bloody Stone Roses concert. It would have been not a surprise to me if it doesn't get given. He converts the penalty. And the best thing about this, for those of you that saw and have seen the highlights or watched the game or were in the stadium, Todd Boehly was there. Chelsea's new owner was there to witness Romelu Lukaku scoring the first goal of his new era. Now, I don't know if this is going to be something that we look back on and think, well, maybe it was that game against Wolves where Romelu Lukaku resurrected what has been commonly known as an abysmal return to Chelsea Football Club. Despite being the club's top scorer, Champions League flipping quarter-finalists, FA Cup finalists, League Cup finalists, 3rd still in the Prem. But it is still considered to be a bit of a failure. And I'm not here to flip-flop. I know that you guys know that I have been pretty hell-bent on saying that I just don't really see Lukaku's future at Chelsea. Scoring these 2 goals still doesn't really flip that question for me completely, but he was very, very good. And that is exactly what Chelsea have wanted and expected ever since we bought him. Wins the pen, scores it. The second one, on his weak foot, on the right foot, that is not an easy finish. He lets the ball roll through his body, which again, when Lukaku's got his back into a defender, that is when you know he's going to be at his brutal best. And the finish is sublime. So all of the football we saw before that from Chelsea as a whole, when in 90 seconds your 90 million plus striker can score 2 goals to give you a 2-0 lead at Stamford Bridge, you fully expect that in some games when you're not playing well, your £97 million man will have done enough to get the team over the line. But unfortunately, box number 2 is a red box for Marcos Alonso. Marcos Alonso in a Chelsea shirt. We could summarise Marcos Alonso's entire Chelsea career with just a couple of sentences. And within those couple of sentences, you can give the guy some serious praise for how good he can be. And you can also give him some genuine criticism, which really does question the authority of those who are paying him the money to suggest that he is a top-level Premier League footballer based on his wage structure and how much he gets paid. Alonso, first half against Wolves, null and void. What happens after that, you'd ask yourself? Well, he gets dragged off at half-time by Thomas Tuchel, and usually I like to post my 6 things we learnt immediately after the game, and unless there's a good reason, it usually does do that, and it's within my interest, of course, too. But since then, it has been established that in the tunnel, Marcos Alonso at half-time was calling Thomas Tuchel profanities, words that I won't use on here just in case I get demonetised. And then he gets called off at half-time. So despite whatever we thought of Alonso before, despite however bad we thought he was against Wolves now, he's probably never going to play for Chelsea again. If player power was ever going to topple a manager, and it was Marcos Alonso to topple Thomas Tuchel, I would retire. I would quit. It's that simple. We move into box number 3. It is another green, and it's a positive for Christian Pulisic. I thought Pulisic, given the start, Tuchel rotates. He drops Kai Havertz out. Mason Mount also doesn't start too. I thought even though Chelsea did look a bit flat in that first half, I think Pulisic's running and the way that he was trying to drive forward was one of the only real positive things, and one of the only people who I actually thought would have ever got real close to scoring. Timo Werner was unlucky, once again, as he always is. Also came close to Sarr making a couple of good saves. But overall, I think Christian Pulisic's performance in that first half and second half too was very, very positive indeed. We move into box number 4, concentration. At the end of the day, if we win this 2-1, no matter how badly or how well you think we played, it's a totally different tonality of the video. But unfortunately, when you're 2-0 up at home, and you concede in the 97th minute to a defender who is that far forward, and all you have to do is just keep an eye on the lines, keep an eye on balls coming into the box. And we were sandwiching Connor Cody, but we couldn't concentrate enough to get it over the line. And there are so many massive questions at the moment about mentality. How many managers have we seen come in at Chelsea? And if it isn't the manager saying that there's something wrong with the players' mentalities, like was said by Maurizio Sarri, then you clearly see that there is moments of the season where Chelsea capitulate. And some of the recent performances, when you can't even concentrate to defend a lead, which is actually one of the cornerstones that has made Thomas Tuchel's time at the club so successful in our minds, is that we've been very good at winning games 1-0, 2-0, not conceding many goals, keeping lots of clean sheets. And now it seems to have just totally disappeared, that ability to be able to do that, to maintain that. So you've also then got Malang Sarr, who I've given box number 5 as a yellow, because this game was a tough one once more, because I thought that as a spectacle, there wasn't really much there to discuss. And overall, recently, things have been a bit more negative. But this is a worry for me now, where when you think about Chelsea's centre-back situation, when you look at Rudiger leaving, Christensen leaving, there is a chance that Azpilicueta, despite extending his deal, might still leave the club. You've got Alonso going out the door. Trevor Chalobah has just signed a new long-term deal, but he stays on the bench. And even though Malang Sarr comes on for, just over 10 minutes, including extra time or injury time, Trevor Chalobah remains on the bench. What is going on here? Did you guys see in the development squad game where we're playing against Tottenham and Trevor Chalobah is there on the line denying what is a perfectly great goal-scoring opportunity? I'm saying this now because I think this will rear its head again in the future. I do think that there is something between Chalobah and Tuchel that Thomas Tuchel doesn't quite fancy. I'm not saying that as gospel fact. I don't have any insider information, but when you bring on Malang Sarr and leave Chalobah on the bench and then go ahead to concede a 97th minute goal, that doesn't make sense to me. Trevor Chalobah is a better defender than Malang Sarr. Please tell me I'm wrong if you believe I'm wrong in the comments Box number 6, to wrap this one up, it is mentality. This Chelsea team have crumbled at the end of this season. The game in Madrid, the way that we exited in the Bernabeu, is the point in which it really did flip on its head, but we cannot be anything but proud of that performance. We've seen Real Madrid go and turn over Man City since then as well. But the concerning thing for me is that there are so many players who seem to have had their heads just drop as the season's come to a close. With all of the off-the-field stuff, you can accept it, you can understand it, you can offer reason for it. But at the same time, we have been talking about end-of-season capitulations, turning on managers. That isn't happening, but all of this goes together and fundamentally means that Chelsea are not at the level of Liverpool and City. Will we see a big spend this summer? We hope so. Is the mentality issue something that maybe even Tuchel can't resolve? That is to be seen, but it is certainly a question I'm asking at the moment. Thank you guys for watching. Apologies once again, this is late. I'm in a friend's place right now recording this. Come on, you please.